What's up, Legacy Builders? I'm Rob.
I'm Reshawn. And this is Learn, Hustle, Grow. We help you build wealth and explore entrepreneurship so that you can leave a legacy.
She's a travel agent.
He's a realtor.
And we are debt-free entrepreneurs.
All right, Legacy Builders, we have another fantastic entrepreneur interview for you today.
Yes, her name is Daniela Flores. She is working full-time and is the queen of side hustles.
That's right. She has created a profitable business on the topic of side hustles.
Check it out.
All right, Legacy Builders, we are super excited to have Daniela join us today.
Yes. What's up, Daniela?
Hey, not much. How are you guys?
We are fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we want to talk to you all about money and entrepreneurship, and I know our viewers don't like for us to linger. So with that in mind, tell us a little bit about where you're from.
Hey, so my name's Daniela. I'm 30 years old, and I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, where I live with my wife and pets.
She's
All
so
right.
young, too.
Yes.
30. Wow.
Makes us feel like
just
we're not
reached
doing
30.
enough.
Yeah. So where we meet Daniela from?
We engage with Daniela through our FinCon community. Is that right?
Yes, the FinCon Facebook group.
FinCon strikes again.
Yes.
A lot of people doing big things in FinCon, right?
Yeah, we are very fortunate to be a part of the community and to have people who are willing to share their stories. So with that, why don't we talk about let's talk about your philosophy on money, Daniela. Give the guys an idea of what your overall, goals are and how you see money.
So how I see money, that's an interesting question, because before I used to be actually pretty stressed out about money, when I was a little bit younger and didn't have that, I didn't have like a career yet. I was still in school. I was working to make ends meet, but now money is kind of transformed into this tool that I can use to reach the goals that I really never thought that I could, kind of craft this vision in my head and use money as a tool towards that.
Awesome. So you have a business, right?
Yes. So I have a side business I run on the side of my full-time job, and that is basically online publishing. My main website is iliketodabble.com, and then I recently created a second website.
What was the name of that? What.com?
iliketodabble.com.
Okay. And what's that about?
It is about mostly around side hustles, entrepreneurship for beginner entrepreneurs like me, as well as we discuss creative money tips like cheap travel, because we love to travel like you guys.
Yes. Okay. So you just decided to come up with it one day and said, hey, I'm going to start a website because I'm just tired of sitting here at my desk on Facebook.
Right, tired of working in IT,
Right.
Yeah. So one day let me give a little bit more background of this. Okay. I used to use GoDaddy a lot to purchase random domains, and just like one of those people that buys random domains. And I used to try to sell them on the GoDaddy auctions, but nothing really panned out. And this was one of those domains I bought, and I wanted to create a hobby blog out of it. But then I found out that like the kind of work that goes into a hobby blog is a lot of work. And then I just kind of wanted it to maybe flow more with like where I was going in life and kind of keeping track with my financial goals at the time when I was still like in debt and trying to get out of debt and go for financial freedom. So I kind of honed in on side hustles since that's always been a big part of my life.
Okay.
And so, I kind of went from one thing and became a different thing.
Isn't it amazing how debt can lead us down the path to wanting to make more money?
Yeah.
And to get good ideas, start having ideas, right?
And then it's like, your creative wheels get turning, and I wanted kind of something to keep me accountable too. So that blog did help me to do that.
Okay.
So now, did you use the funds from this business to pay off your debt? Where do you stand as far as those goals are concerned?
So I did pay off my student loans in May of last year, and
awesome.
some of that.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
I know it's like a huge weight off your shoulders, huh?
Oh yes, it is. It wasn't
do you mind
a lot.
Sharing how much it was?
Yeah, so my student loan debt was $15,000 originally, but after putting it in deferment for a time when I was laid off from my job back a couple of years ago, it did accumulate in the background and interest grew. So it probably was a total of $20,000, closer to that when I paid it all off.
All right, so lesson learned, try not to defer.
Yes, don't defer. Even if they tell you on the phone, like, oh, deferment's an option, it's not a good option. But some people, you don't have a lot of options when it comes, if you're in that kind of situation. So deferment's, you know, one of those things where a lot of people are like, oh, well, this is kind of my only option.
Right.
But if you can scrape the money together, I would definitely recommend that, because after a while, when you go back to start paying your loans again, it's like, whoa, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
And so it'd been great to have that knowledge beforehand, but
Yeah.
it's kind of what the story's about, learning.
Yeah.
So Daniela, when did you start your blog? Did you start it in the last couple of years, or and how long did it take you to become profitable on that blog?
So I created the blog. I bought the domain back in April 2017.
Oh, okay.
And I started monetizing it within those first couple months, even though the focus of it was kind of all over the place. I didn't really start, I mean, so the profit starting those first couple of months, it was like maybe a couple $100s here and there, just because of being able to implement Google AdSense and starting out with Amazon Associates, the affiliate program Amazon has.
Yeah.
So that was able to bring in a little bit of profit, but for like a good profit of where I was making $1,000 a month consistently, that didn't work.
Nice.
Yeah, that didn't really happen until closer to that like first year mark, when I was like, you know, steady consistency and had a good focus going.
Okay, so wait, so for people who are just starting their first blog, right? So you're saying you say you did Amazon affiliates somehow, right? So I guess you can hook up with Amazon and do like a program. And you said
you do it. You sign up for it online.
Yeah. And what was the other one?
Google AdSense. So that's like a, you know, ads you can serve on your blog for beginner monetization if you get approved for it. It is a little bit harder to get approved for it these days, which is kind of weird because they don't pay out that much, but it's good enough to start with. And I think it's the same ads that are used on YouTube videos as well as Google AdSense.
Okay.
So you said your first real sense of profitability came when you were making about $1,000 a month, and it took a year to get to that goal.
Yeah, so definitely it took a year, you know, implementing different strategies, kind of changing up my focus and really honing in on side hustles. And then that affiliate strategy with that, where I kind of knew the kind of affiliates that I liked working with and, you know, seeing what worked and what didn't. So I used Mediavine eventually when I got accepted to their ad publisher network. It's not really, they don't like to call themselves an ad network. It's a group of blog and other online publishers that got together and created Mediavine to help bloggers make more money with ads. So yeah, so I was accepted to their program, and that's really when my income started going up.
I find that really interesting because you're the first person actually to mention Mediavine. I've heard Google AdSense, I've heard Amazon affiliates, and then of course there's, you know, CJ. There are a lot of affiliate organizations out there, and this is the first time I've heard of Mediavine.
Yeah. Seems hard to find them, you know. How'd you find Mediavine?
I found it because so a couple of like different blogger mastermind Facebook groups I was in, some of the women there were using Mediavine as ads on their blog. And you can tell if someone uses Mediavine because underneath the ads, it'll say Mediavine under the left-hand corner.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, what's that? And so I looked at it. I looked at some of the stories they had from bloggers using Mediavine because they have a blog there and it shows like how much their bloggers make. So I was like, wow, I need to reach their minimum requirement and see if I can get accepted, which is 25,000 sessions a month for traffic to your blog. So if you can show that you have that traffic through, you give them access to your Google Analytics. They look at it, they kind of look at your blog and the kind of content you're producing to see if it works for their publishers.
Okay, that's incredible. So now let's talk about startup costs. How much did it cost you to actually purchase your domain?
So my domain, I think it was something like $4.99 when I first got it. It was really, it was GoDaddy. It was like $4.99 I want to say it was either a month or a year. It was when I first got it.
Okay.
It wasn't like, you know, it's not like one of those web domains where it's like high demand, like if you were to type in sidehustle.com, I don't know, like, so it was like, it wasn't used. It was really cheap. I bought it just because I was like, oh, this is a fun name. But then I kind of formed the whole content strategy and the focus of the blog around the name, and it's kind of worked.
Cool.
Now, how many hours a week do you need to put into your blog in order for it to be successful based on what you've learned now? How many years have you been doing it?
Doing about 2.5 years now. Yeah. We're almost 3 years.
Okay.
So how much time do you have to put in for the blog to make the money you're making?
Oh, so starting out, I put in a lot of time since I did everything myself. I found like a free theme to use. I did the logo and all the graphics. I do have a web design and development background in my career, so I use that kind of towards getting this blog off the ground. And then the content is the time consuming part. Like I didn't hire freelance writers or anything. It was mostly me, guest writers from other blogs, just to help each other get like exposure, build a domain authority, that sort of thing. And I used a couple people off of Fiverr and Upwork, which are sites that you can find freelance workers through, but everything goes through that platform.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt.
You
mentioned something about the template. You said that you used a free template. Are you using WordPress for your site?
Yes, I'm using WordPress. Before I was using a free theme. Yeah, I basically WordPress, and I searched a bunch of different free themes that you can find online by typing in best free themes for your WordPress site. I used a free theme that I do have on one of my blog posts that I can give you the link to after this. But and then eventually, though, I did get a designer who redid my entire site redesign, my logo, the colors, kind of whole feel of it, and it looks really great now. But starting out, like all those hours I put in, I was easily putting in 40 hours a week, getting up early or going to bed later and on weekends.
Wow. And this is while you still had a full-time job, is that correct?
Yes. So I still have my full-time job, and it is a little bit, I don't do 40 hours a week anymore, but to get everything up and like that momentum going.
Yeah.
And the time goes into promotion too. Yeah. It takes a long time and it's not easy, but I mean, if you have the time and you want to do something like this and you enjoy it, then it's fun. I mean, burnout does happen, and try to avoid that as much as possible. Don't put 40 hours a week if you don't have 40 hours to give from yourself.
We understand the hustle, believe me.
Yeah, we try to but if we can pay somebody to do it and it's fast for them and we have the money, then we try to do that now, like that redesign thing, right?
Now, you had a web development background. Right. What other training or whatever did you have to go through in order to bring up a blog? Did you take any classes? Did you just figure it out on your own? I heard you mention a Facebook group, but what was your education process like?
So my education process was, I actually used to work for a startup firm, and they would build these websites from scratch, like basically custom themes that you would code. And you work with a designer when you create those. So I worked on several projects like that in my career before doing this.
Okay.
But someone doesn't necessarily need that sort of education to actually get into like the blogging world with affiliate marketing and learning how to make money from your blog. I use courses like Making Sense of Affiliate Marketing. Is a teachable course. The domain for it is makingsenseofaffiliatemarketing.com. Even though it's not my product, I guess I just plugged it. But
we do want to give we want to give the legacy builders on this channel all the information they need to figure out how to get started. So feel free to share.
Yeah, I used that course. I used a couple of free courses from bloggers. Like there is a Facebook group called Pinterest Ninjas, and the woman who runs that, she like has some Pinterest like free courses, free content on her site. She has paid courses as well, and that's how I kind of got a lot of Pinterest knowledge going. And just like kind of working with other bloggers online, seeing what worked for them. You kind of ask people questions like, oh, why isn't this working? Or what should I do with this? Or can you give me feedback on that? That helps a lot. I'm also part of a bloggers network called the Money Mix Insiders, but it's a group of bloggers that kind of work together. We syndicate each other's content.
Okay.
So like we share content with each other's audiences. It also goes on the Money Mix website. And then they help kind of mentor each blogger based on their certain needs. It's something I joined just of September last year, but it's been really helpful since then.
So Daniela, who's your target audience, and how do you bring traffic to your blog?
So my target audience are mostly females in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and they're looking for ways to make extra money, kind of get their financial life together. If they're trying to look for resources to pay off debt, budget their money, save more for retirement, and also those that are like maybe in a more financially stable situation and looking for towards financial freedom. They need more ways to rack the money in to invest and kind of apply towards that goal of either short term, maybe breaks from your corporate job. If you want to work from home, find ways to make money, like maybe when you want to travel, or if you're ready to leave your corporate job altogether and you're kind of coming here to look for that resource to see what else you can maybe do using the skills that you have.
Now, how do you know that your audience is primarily female or all female? Where'd you get that data?
I actually use a free website. It's called Quantcast. It's spelled Quantcast, Quantcast.com. You link your blog to it, like you put it's like a short code somewhere in your blog. I can't remember where I put it, but they take the data over a couple of weeks and they show you the type of people that are coming to your website, who they are, their ages, what they're into, like actually has everything down to like career and income level. It's kind of really creepy, but I do disclose in my blog that like some of the people's data will be collected. It just won't be used for anything besides making the blog tailored more to them. So I do use that. It's been really helpful. It shows me that about 65% of my audience are females. Most of them are in their 30s, but there are a lot of males as well.
Okay. So
yeah, and I find the majority of my audience are coming from Pinterest and Google, as I've worked to put more in search engine optimization tactics like keyword research and optimizing my posts for keywords to rank in Google. I've really increased my Google traffic this past year.
Okay.
So then my next question is, what are some of the best side hustles you've heard about or things you've learned about and shared about with your audience that you thought that's pretty interesting or that's a great way to make money?
Yeah, so I know a lot of people do coaching as a side hustle. So they do either life coaching or money coaching, career coaching on the side of their side hustle. That seems to be really, because you can just set up your website, but you don't have to keep like maintaining a blog. You just you're kind of reeling in like a client base. You can work with them maybe a couple times a week. And then you get like that service kind of based pay where it's not really like coming from ads or affiliates, which it can too, but you basically charge a certain fee for that. I know a lot of people have had a lot of success with that and then have left their jobs to do that full time. For my audience coming to the site looking like, hey, I want to make some extra money this weekend. What do I do? Right. That's, I always tell them first start with what you have. Do you have anything you don't use that you could sell? Are there ways, is there something that you know a lot about? You can maybe flip stuff. My wife actually flips guitars on eBay and that's been pretty lucrative for her, but that's because she's a collector. So she has that knowledge on them. And the research into that is also required. So you're not blindly buying something and then won't profit off of it and you lose on that sale.
Okay.
Freelance writing is another great one. Freelance writing or design kind of based on the skills that you have and just kind of looking for ways to network to get those freelance jobs. And there's a couple of online tools you can use for that as well, like problogger.com or virtual vocations. They have a lot of remote freelancing writing jobs on those sites.
Okay, those are some great insights. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I guess for the rest, they can just come to your site, right?
Yeah, for the rest. I mean, we have tons of ideas and suggestions for side hustles based on like what you enjoy doing or, what you have a background in, or maybe new skills you want to learn about. All that's on the site for sure.
Cool. So how did you know when you had the right idea, Daniela?
So I knew, of course, starting out, you're like, oh, well, who's even listening? I mean, you get a couple commenters
I feel that way all the
here
time.
and there. Yeah.
YouTube.
Are you guys watching?
Yeah. All right. Are you here? But I started getting like some correspondence in my email or responses to my email blasts, just like with readers' questions about things, or they have a certain circumstance they're in and like, what can I do to get out of this circumstance or help with this? That's when I was like, oh, well, someone's reading and they actually have feedback and questions. Like I guess this is, this is working. It's helping somebody. Somebody's there, waiting to hear more. It's like, well, yeah.
Cool.
So, you got anything to say? Okay. So do you think you have made any or many mistakes since the time you started this? And what would you change if you had to go back from the beginning?
So starting out at the beginning of my blog, I kind of went off, like I didn't really look into message forums and like groups to see like kind of questions that people are asking about side hustles and the kind of problems they're having with money. I just kind of went off of what I was dealing with. So I wanted to kind of more change it to the dialogue with my readers. So I know, and they can engage more, so I know that it's actually helping someone rather than just helping myself. So before I was kind of talking more to people rather than talking with. So I feel like now that's one of the things I'm making really big this year is the dialogue with my readers. And I've created a new series around that called Readers' Questions. So the questions they send me, I've asked them like, oh, can I have the approval to put this on my site with like kind of a long form answer post style to kind of show everybody like, oh, if this person's asking this question, somebody else reading right now probably has the same question.
Right.
and they can like see it and then ask more questions in the comments, that sort of thing. Maybe, just get more engagement going.
Oh, that's
Right.
really insightful.
Very smart.
So we always want to make sure that we are sharing things with our audience that are repeatable. I think you mentioned earlier that you have since started a second blog. Tell us a little bit about that and what your goal is as far as growing this business overall.
So my second blog is a little bit different. It's not really around money, but it kind of goes with the part of my current blog about cheap travel, but more of the outdoorsy travel. It's called hikingandroadtrips.com.
Okay.
It's very new. I bought the domain though probably almost 2 years ago, but I just had gotten so busy with the side hustle I was already on, and I still had things to do on I Like to Dabble that I just didn't have time to really get hiking and road trips up and running yet.
Okay.
Wow.
So recently I've been working to get more content out on it. The design kind of finalized and some kinks worked out. I do have some writers lined up to get content like really rolling out on it. I just had some new content posted yesterday.
Okay.
And I'm really excited about it. There are no ads on the site currently or anything like that. I'm just monetizing it with a couple of affiliate and referral links of my own that I have, like from Airbnb, because I can, promote that a lot for hiking and road trips. A lot of especially people on road trips that don't really look for camping, but also camping will be included on the site as well.
Did you feel like it was easier to get started up the second time now that you've done it before?
Oh yeah, it was much easier. It took a lot less time because I didn't have to go through that whole trial and error thing that I did the first time. I knew the kind of site like feel that I liked, the kind of themes to go look at, the kind of images I wanted. For logo, I knew like where to go to generate that logo, which now I can't remember. I was going to use the name of the place, but I can't remember the site now. But it's like a logo generator where I took like a PNG that I created, but I wanted kind of the perfect font to go with it and kind of placement. So I tried a couple things. I just plugged this into the logo generator and it kind of gave me a couple options.
Cool. I need
interesting,
that.
right?
Yeah, so I will find that and send that to you. It's
Okay.
really helpful. And it was something like $1 for a bunch of different kind of mock-ups of it.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a lot easier second time around because I had the knowledge and tools from the first time around to kind of reapply it to this instance.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Now, clearly this is a profitable venture for you because you've decided to do it again. You mentioned previously that you knew you were doing well once you reached $1,000 a month. What is the blog bringing in now? How are you
Yes.
doing with I Like to Dabble?
So currently the blog is doing good. Last year I reached 30,000 with the money bringing in for the blog.
Nice.
That wasn't my profit because I did have a lot of expenses. I wanted to minimize the taxes for it and like grow it as much as possible with that money that was coming in. So a lot of that money does go back into the blog now that a lot of that previous debt is paid off.
Okay.
We do still invest. There's like a chunk of it that we do invest in our stocks outside of our retirements. But yeah, so it's about monthly. I'm looking at around 2,000 to 3,000 average currently. And as I'm trying to reach out to more sponsorship opportunities with companies, that's how I kind of want to grow that income. Because with affiliate income, it's not very consistent, which month to month you're going to make the same amount of money. It's like some months I'll make a lot from affiliates, and other months it's like crickets. It's just it's weird. It also kind of goes around the seasons too. Like around the holiday seasons, people don't really look up around like side hustle or money stuff. I mean, they're looking for like gifts and shopping and gift guides, which I also
kind of blog for each one then, huh?
Yeah. I mean, like I do kind of incorporate it as well, like some gift guides or like money gift ideas or cheap gift ideas or budget, I kind of try to incorporate that into the blog, but seasonally, like that definitely does have an impact on the income, which I've, also learned around and kind of working around now.
Right. And I was going to say, that's an idea to have, start 4 blogs, one for each season, right?
Yeah. A Christmas blog, a New Year's blog, a summer blog.
Summer and travel. We call it travel.
But you got the hiking,
hiking. I
Hiking,
can't believe you got that domain.
Months,
That's wow.
But
I got it for cheap too. It was $11.99, but a GoDaddy. But that was.
Okay, Daniela, is there anything that we missed? Anything that our viewers should know? Anything else our viewers should know about blogging before we get out of here?
Yeah, so there is a side to side hustles and blogging you might not think about, and that's taxes. So you still have to pay taxes on the extra income you make. Usually you have to file it as a sole proprietor if you didn't, go and register an LLC or anything like that. So that's what I did the first, that first year I didn't really have anything to report because my expenses were like a lot more. I did report like what came in from the ads and Amazon, as they did give me the forms to use. So I use TurboTax for that. It's pretty seamless, and you hook up QuickBooks to all of your income and expenses, and you can kind of show that in TurboTax using their Schedule Form C. I think it's right. I'm not a lawyer though, so don't.
Okay.
So ask your lawyer about this first, or accountant. But I first filed as a sole proprietor, reporting my side hustle income taxes using a Schedule C form, and then the end of last year, I registered my LLC I'm a single member LLC. And I'll be filing taxes fairly similar, just, marking LLC. But for that next year, I won't have to do that until next year. For this past year, I'll still do the Schedule C form as a sole proprietor. And that also shows my freelance income as well. So that's something to remember. Make sure you're keeping track of your income and expenses. Reach out to those networks or platforms you work with for the forms that you need to file your taxes with. And people do say there's a fee that you get if you don't pay quarterly taxes, but that's only if you make more, if you're expecting to pay more than $1,000 in taxes for a year from a certain, income source, or if you didn't have a tax liability last year, then this year you won't get a fee if you're not paying quarterly taxes. But if you're making $30,000 last year, I was paying quarterly taxes, and I'll be paying quarterly taxes going forward. But that year before, when it was under 10,000, like barely under 10,000, I didn't pay quarterly taxes, and I wasn't penalized for that. And also with my employer, I had them take out more taxes to kind of cover any quarterly taxes I would owe. So just keep that in mind, and also ask your accountant. If you have your accountant friends or a resource online, do ask them, what their output is on that.
Is the quarterly taxes specific to what you're doing as a blogger, or is it a freelance thing, or is it a sole proprietorship? Why would your business require quarterly taxes when most businesses pay annually?
So I pay quarterly taxes due to the self-employment tax, and the self-employment tax is 15.2%, I believe. And it's actually something that's paid already by your employer, or if you file as a business, you won't get tax self-employment tax. But as a sole proprietor, you do have to pay self-employment tax, and the IRS, since they're not getting that from your employer anymore, you do have to report that quarterly, if it's of a substantial amount that won't be covered from your taxes currently.
And what was that minimum amount you made before you were required to pay that tax again?
It's if you expect to owe at least $1,000 in taxes.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Cool.
Cool.
Now, Hubs mentioned something about getting out of here, but we know we have a couple of bonus questions that we need to ask. So with that in mind, tell us what some of your favorite motivational or business books are. How do you stay inspired? If it's not books, then podcasts, YouTube. What do you do?
Ooh, so books. My favorite book ever is The Life of Pi. I love that book, but it's not really business related, but it is very inspirational. I mean, just the whole, it's not a true story, but when I first read it, I thought it was, but I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's not, but still it's a great inspiring story just for like any place you are in your life. It is a beautiful story. Business books. My favorite books are For Our Work Week. I like Financial Freedom from Grant Sabatier. I don't know how to say his last name, right? Or Outliers. I do love that book as well. That's from Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Podcast.
Grant Sabatier. I'm trying to think of it too. It sounds something fancy.
Yeah, Sabatier or Sabatier or so. Yeah. Podcasts for business podcast. I love Journey to Launch. It is one of my favorite podcasts.
Yes, Jamila is awesome. She has a great podcast.
Yeah. I listen to like every episode. Like it's addicting for sure.
Cool. That's cool. All right. So Daniela, what does legacy builder mean to you?
So legacy builder to me would be that like every new experience in my business or this like kind of journey with beginner entrepreneurship, every experience that I get, I want to apply it, towards kind of the growth of it. And legacy being like the body of my work.
Excellent.
Okay, cool.
I like it.
I love asking that question because we get a different answer from everybody who's, who's been on the show so far. So
yeah, I mean, I've never had that question before, and it actually took me a second to answer it. Like when I thought about it, it's like, okay, what is legacy then to me?
Right.
So I kind of think of legacy as being like the body of my work or that effect it leaves on anybody it touches.
Excellent.
All right. So now you've given us so much information. I think that, our viewers are going to absolutely love and appreciate everything that you've given as far as helping them to look at ways that they might consider starting a blog or even venturing out to look at what their side hustle options might be. So tell us where we can find you after this interview if people want to check you out.
Yeah, so you can find me on iliketodabble.com or hikingandroadtrips.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter. It's just I Like to Dabble. And on Instagram, just type in I Like to Dabble, or Pinterest, I Like to Dabble. So
wow,
right.
You locked that I Like to Dabble down.
That's right. She's all over
I Like to Dabble.
Excellent. Well, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Daniela.
Thanks for coming by, Daniela.
Thanks for having me, guys. This has been great.
Awesome.